Just gonna record because there's definitely gonna be editing no matter how.
Oh yeah, fucking A, right, mate?
I don't even know what to start.
Maybe we should plan out what we're gonna say.
Yeah,
before.
let's do that.
Yeah, here you are. Do it.
Hey guys, what's up? I am Trink, and this is Joshey, and welcome to the first episode. Well, it's kind of like an episode of Trink and Joshey Watch.
Yeah.
Except, well,
It's Trink and Joshey rant.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Rant, watch. Be nostalgic, I guess.
Yeah.
And this is kind of we watched something.
This is kind of an accumulative knowledge of all of.
Yeah,
it's like one topic.
Yeah, we didn't know how to do an intro video without, we didn't want to take too much time out of our first episode, and we didn't know really what to do, so we decided to make our first episode, we're going to talk about the 80s, but we need to first introduce something before that. So with this show, obviously it's brand new, and me and Joshie were in high school, and we're both busy, so until Joshie's done football and I get into my wrestling schedule where I go right after school and then we could just film later during the day, we're probably not going to be able to upload as much. So when October hits, we're going to do a bunch of Halloween episodes, so that will be a good way to keep you over. And then November we'll film a lot. We'll film a lot, and then halfway through November until we keep going, really, until I don't know how long this will last. You never really know with these things.
Yeah.
So that's when we'll be able to just keep on going, and you guys will have all the material you want. So basically, how it's gonna work, most times we'll be able to film on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And Wednesdays there'll be nothing uploaded because we'll be filming and all that. Filming, editing, all that stuff. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I guess I'll just spoil it. We're going to be doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original series, and we're going to review an episode each Tuesday and Thursday. Until we get into the rhythm, we're probably just going to upload either Tuesday or Thursday, however fast I can edit them.
Yeah, basically whatever works into our schedule.
Yeah, and on Fridays, because everyone loves Fridays.
Yeah, everybody loves Fridays.
That's going to be the movie review, where we just... Yeah, they're basically movie reviews, where we just talk about movies, give our thoughts, rant about them if we need to, go a little off topic. That's the fun stuff.
Yeah, that is the fun stuff.
Then Monday will be miscellaneous, which is basically we'll either put nothing on or something random like this. If this wasn't the first episode, it'd probably be on a Monday, and heck, it might even be on a Monday. I don't know, but miscellaneous stuff will be if we want to go through a DVD collection or look at props or something, that'll be on a Monday. If we want to talk about the 70s.
Yeah, the 70s.
The 70s.
I mean, honestly, think about what came out of the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, in my opinion anyway, the 80s was the golden age of
film, really.
But, I always thought the Warriors was from the 80s, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's from 1979.
Yeah.
But, and Mondays, we both love to, just make... We both are aspiring filmmakers, so, if we ever just want to make, a little skit, that'd always be fun.
Yeah, skits will be on, Mondays.
Weekends. Monday is the garbage can day.
Yeah.
We're just oh, you want to do that?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So with that all the way, all the boring stuff that we don't have to say anymore,
Let's get right into it.
Into the 80s.
Yeah, into the 80s.
There's so much to talk about the 80s. Really,
I could probably... write a 50-page paper on how great the 80s.
That's what they should do in schools. In school, it's always compare and contrast paper, personal essay paper.
Here,
they need to do some more movie criticism.
I swear to God, they make me read this shitty book that I don't want to read.
Yeah.
And when you don't want to read something, that would be making me watch. I don't know what's a movie I can't stand.
The Sitter with Jonah Hill.
I don't really hate that movie.
All right, well that's me.
All right, sorry. Let's use him since he thought of that.
Yeah, that's me.
That'd be even if it was movies. Imagine having to watch a movie you're not into. and then having to write a paper on it. But it's even worse because at least a movie, even if it sucks, I can still pay attention to it.
Yeah, like, and research paper, it's like, research this poet that we read a 3-line poem about. Like, like, what about, like, a director or something? Like, that's creative stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be written down and rhyme and all that. Like,
I mean, the amount of stuff you could just say about, like, like, Wes Craven, for example, I mean...
Yeah.
The impact he had on the horror genre is mind-blowing. And, like...
Exactly.
What you could say... All the stuff you could say about him or, like, Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino or any of these legendary directors, it's like, if you told me to do that...
Yeah.
Like, that would be great.
What I was talking about before, I feel like when I was little, like, black and white, like, everyone was like, I don't know, who wants to watch black and white? And now, I think black and white movies are very, like, they're gorgeous to look at when they were done right. There's some black and white movies that are, like, awful.
When you think about where movie comes from,
the
word movie means moving picture, a motion picture. That's still used
how
today,
it started.
Motion picture.
Yeah.
So, what I always, I actually catch myself thinking this when I watch a movie is, like, this is millions of pictures put together to make motion.
Yeah. Like, back then, it was so much harder to make a movie. And, like, the 80's now, I feel like people don't want to look at that graininess of, like, 80's. And it's kind of sad, really. I know one guy, like, we put it in this movie, and he's like, I really don't want to watch this because it has that grainy look of the 80's.
I love that.
Yeah. That's just, like, it looks good, and some people don't think it looks good, but...
And me being, like, wanting to be a filmmaker and, like, taking inspiration from all these 80's movies, what I was always worried about is not being able to capture all the elements of the 80's movies that make me love them so much. And, like, that's another thing. Like, I think about that. Like, we could talk about Slumber Party Massacre.
Yes.
Which is a movie that defines the 80's. Like, you just listen to the title, Slumber Party Massacre, and you're like, 80's. That is so... Everything about it, there's, like... It's crazy.
Killer,
the serial killer, the girls, like, it's just all 80's. So, but, like, Slumber Party Massacre, all the stuff about it, but one thing that I enjoyed when I watched it was that grainy 80's look. Like, it's just... The colors, like, aren't perfect. And even watching it on Blu-ray, I try to buy all my movies on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Just, you know, watch them and, like, you know, it's not that I like shitty quality. It's just I like that, just the way it looked. The color with it, everything about it. And, you know, like, that's what I'm afraid I won't be able to capture is because, you know, you have all this cameras that you work with now that could shoot, like, 5 billion megapixel, you know, but...
Yeah, it's hard to... It's almost impossible to imitate how the 80 looked. And that's a good thing because people who make a movie now, they want to make it look good and all that. But sometimes, like, it'd be cool to do that. But it's basically impossible now. Like, even this camera couldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like,
and when you put, like, you know, I've heard of things that you could put, like, a filter on it. Like,
but it
isn't
the same. Like, person who made it knows that, like, it's not the camera itself.
Death Proof. Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof.
Yeah.
That was one of them that did that.
Yeah, it did.
It's a good movie, but if you watch Death Proof, you could see that it has, like, that fake graininess to it. And I really couldn't get over that.
He is the one person who can make, like... that could do that.
I agree.
And get away with it. Like, some people couldn't get away with it. Yeah.
I agree that he did it well, but it was kind of like I could tell.
Yeah, like you could make a movie like that. I just said it's impossible, so I'm kind of contradicting what I just said. But you could do that, but it's hard to get away with it nowadays.
Movies that you look at critic reviews who base it just on, like, whatever they wanted, whatever.
Yeah.
But, and they're like, oh, this movie sucks. But, like, our Killer Clowns from Outer Space, another 80's, 1987?
I think.
I really hate when I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's,
At least you know it's from the 80's.
Yeah, it is from the 80's.
There's some movies that are, like, 1990, and, like, I could have sworn it was, like, from the 80's.
Yeah.
And, like, I mess it up
and I'll be like, oh, yeah, 1993,
and
blah, blah, blah.
Later
and I'll look, oh, yikes. But anyway, so, 1980's Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Watching that movie with a blind, or, like, you know, just going into the movie, just watching it, you'd be like, oh, this is kind of dumb. I mean, even the title, you're just like, oh, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, that sounds stupid. But when you watch it and you appreciate it and you know, like, it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
And that's really all you need to make a movie great. And one of my favorite directors of all time. I mean, I love Quentin Tarantino. I love his movies. My favorite movie of all time, in 1994, I know this for a fact, is Pulp Fiction. That is my favorite movie of all time. And Quentin Tarantino, I love him. But my favorite director of all time has to be John Carpenter. That's exactly right. John Carpenter, and one of my favorite horror movies, if you want to call it a horror movie. It's technically a horror movie. They Live. I love the movie They Live.
That is a great,
It's a great Roddy Piper with one of the greatest 20-minute long fight scenes I have ever seen in my life.
That's a good movie. Like, that shows you something that's like...
They Live. 1985, right?
Yeah, it's 80s. Like, you don't even need to know the year. That's 80s.
It's 80s.
They Live. That's what we're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we're getting about. Like, and another thing, like, we're talking horror mainly, but with They Live, like, as 80s went on, the comedies went into the horror movies.
Yeah.
Like, Friday the 13th, there's not many horror things. Nightmare on Elm Street, it's not very horror, but, like I felt like everything was, like, 80s, and it kind of has that humor about it. Like, the bright clothing, the jokes.
What I love about... I mean, Wes Craven is another one of my favorite directors when it comes to horror,
he's definitely my favorite.
But with Nightmare on Elm Street, what I loved about it more than any of the other slashers or, like, movies of that same genre is... What I loved is Freddy killed people with style.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you had Jason. Now, like I said, John Carpenter is my favorite director. I love Halloween. But, like, Jason and Michael Myers, they don't talk. They're just like, you know, they come in, they kill you, all right, see ya. Freddy does it with style.
Yeah,
he's funny, like, he talks, and it's great.
I feel like Nightmare on Elm Street's kind of just, like, it's a magical thing because Wes Craven made The Hills Have Eyes, and then he had The Hills Have Eyes 2, and people started down him because, like, that was a bomb. And then he makes Nightmare on Elm Street, and just, like, the stars align. It was, oh my god. Who the hell plays Freddy? I can't think of it.
Oh, Robert Englund.
Jesus.
Come on, dude.
I'm sorry,
Get with it. One thing that is cool about Nightmare on Elm Street is that Freddy was played by Robert Englund in all movies except for that goddamn piece of shit remake that
really, like, I don't even know.
That movie,
That's like one of those remakes where they try to make it exactly like it, but they do things that, like, they try to, like, surprise you, and you're like, I could kind of see it. Like,
it's just Freddy wasn't Freddy. It didn't look like Freddy. And the part that blows my mind.
That's another thing with the 80s. They're remaking a lot of them.
Yeah, but the part
they don't have the charm.
The part that blows my mind to oblivion is that they got Robert Englund to be in the movie.
Yeah,
but not play Freddy. Why? He played. There's actually a picture. This picture, that.
Yeah.
It's Robert Englund right here with a signed piece of paper that says the 2010 remake sucks.
Friday the 13th is a movie that, like, I feel like it's one of those movies that a lot of people haven't seen, but they know, like...
Yeah, everyone knows...
And the thing...
Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, Jason Voorhees, and, like, people don't know it's Jason's mom.
Yeah.
I feel like now, like, if you have a computer, you do know, because so many people talk about it. But, it's not even a surprise anymore, really.
Yeah.
And if you watch the movie, it's not that big of a surprise, because, like, she comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, but...
Actually, a funny thing about that movie, I was watching it in my basement. I had a girl over. We were just watching the movie, right? And I knew it was coming because I saw it before.
Oh, the end of the movie.
The end of the movie.
Yep.
If you've seen the movie, even if you haven't seen it, you might know what I'm talking about. The girl's on the boat. It's at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. She kills Jason's mom, who was the killer of the whole movie.
Cuts her goddamn... Even though, like... I think the effect's really not that good because, like, when he cuts her head off, who cares?
It's the 80s.
It's the 80s. Who cares?
Exactly.
That should be on a T-shirt. Who cares? It's the 80s.
Who cares? It's the 80s.
And so he does that, and that's badass. This little scrawny girl cuts this killer's head right off.
Sink.
And then she's on the boat.
So she's in the boat, and I'm just, we're just chilling on the couch. We're just sitting like this. We're watching. And I know what's happening.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there. It's the end of the movie. She's just waiting in the boat. And all of a sudden, this muddy, zombie-looking ass kid jumps out of the water. It's like, and like he grabs her. I got punched so hard in the face. it hurt.
But that music is like...
Yeah, the music...
That's perfect, the 80s horror movie music. That dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, like...
And another thing with the 80s, it really started off, like, a lot of people got their start from it. Like, Kevin Bacon's in Friday the 13th. Johnny Depp is in Nightmare on Elm Street. Jamie Lee Curtis. Halloween.
Fucking beating me.
You pointed to that one. And then
yeah, I'm like, damn it.
That one's Night of the Living Dead, if you were wondering.
The 80s, like, you know.
That should be on a shirt.
The 80s.
Who cares? Who cares? It's the 80s. But it should be like one of those shirts that looks like a jacket. Like, you know, it should be like really
bright. Or like
bright,
Marty McFly's vest.
Really bright colors, and the 3D glasses from the movie should be...
Yes.
We need to make it.
Tell you what, if we get a following, and we have enough money to start merchandising...
We'll make that shirt.
You just wait on it. That shirt will be a thing.
Yeah, just wait.
Yeah. What?
The videos, you know, that you have.
Yeah, the movies.
Yeah, the movies. Well, she has a series of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, which one? Like the newer one or the older one?
No, the old one, honey. The one with Basil Rathbone.
Oh, that's sick.
So would you like to see that, honey?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll plan an afternoon because she won't drive in the dark.
Yeah.
Plan an afternoon. When are you available, though?
Well, actually, me and my friend, I don't know if you know, do you know Tanner?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and him are starting a new YouTube series about, my friend Trink. We're starting a new YouTube series about movie reviews. So, I mean, if, you know, we could probably do that for one of these episodes.
Oh, okay. Well,
alright, well, we're in the middle of filming right now, so I'm going to have to buzz off real quick.
Okay, honey.
Alright.
Be careful.
Alright, I will. I'll be careful.
Love you, sweetheart. Love you.
Alright, see you. Bye.
Bye.
Camera might fall on.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah. So,
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I know.
Eventually.
Yeah. I've never seen any, like, Sherlock Holmes related.
Neither have I.
I don't know why. Well, look, perfect topic.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes.
Steven Spielberg got his start in Jaws, and if you ever get the opportunity to see the documentary about Jaws, it's really, like, cool to see how he got his start and how stressed... That documentary, like, there's books and all that that tell you how stressful filmmaking is, and people who are going to be filmmakers know that already, but that really shows you, like, how it is to be, like... You're running out of money, you're way over the time limit, and back then when you had a time limit, like, you had to get it filled.
Yeah.
Like, it's not now, like, when you're done, they're like, alright, now we'll get a date out.
Yeah.
But that shows you, and then he got that, and then E.T., Gremlins.
A lesser-known Steven Spielberg movie that I really like is actually one of my favorite Steven Spielberg movies is AI, Artificial Intelligence. In the documentary about Jaws, you just see how stressful it is to work with an animatronic shark.
And that literally was Spielberg's first movie. Like, they said he walked on the set, was a producer for, like, not the Twilight Zone, but, like, a cheaper, like, show of the Twilight Zone. Like, a kind of, like, gimmick of it. And then, like, he got Jaws somehow. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And, but, like, that's another thing. A thing I always tell people about that I think is now is a perfect time to bring up is CGI.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know what that is, I mean, everybody kind of knows what CGI is, but it stands for computer generated image.
Yeah.
And so let's compare these two. A movie that just came out this year, The Shallows. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing Jaws to The Shallows at all. There is no competition between those two movies, other than Blake Lively's ass. That's about it. I mean, that's where the appeal for The Shallows comes in. But regardless, the animatronic, real, live-action, practical shark, practical effects in Jaws. Sure, you know it's fake.
Yeah.
But it's scary.
And you don't see it half the time.
Yeah.
That's scary. And something that scared me as a kid when I go to see, like, not like a horror movie, but like when you see someone far away and like the camera goes up to it, and even if the killer isn't the camera, like a POV, that's still scary because you know something's gonna happen, and that like scared me. Another thing back then, they had like Now they can just do it on a computer. Not many people like. There is movies where they do like the real effects, stop motion, all that, and they can just do it on a computer. But back then, they had to do so many things. Really, like they had to come up with squibs, I believe they're called, for a gunshot, for blood exploding. They had to like pump blood to make it go like this. Now it's just CGI. They had to use puppets. They had to use animatronics. If you didn't have the budget, you couldn't even use animatronics. So you were stuck with puppets.
I watch
months.
I watch Jason and the Argonauts and like other movies like where they're stop motion, and I really think that
that is truly incredible.
Second of this is
that's literally like making a movie in pictures.
Yeah. Literally, you're making a movie with pictures.
And then when you're done, it's not just like, all right, we got that, and now we can edit it together. Now it's you got to put the audio in. You got to do some effects with like green screen and the actors, like yeah.
Like when you have a live action actor fighting a CGI CGI, my bad. A stop motion skeleton.
Yeah.
It's that
I think CGI was really good back then, and in the 80s I think CGI was all right.
It was around,
I mean, not CGI, stop motion.
I thought you were talking about
CGI.
There was CGI in the 80s.
That was some bad shit.
That was some bad. But it's so bad that it's enjoyable.
Yeah, but
because it's the 80s, you know.
Yeah, and the stop motion back then it was iffy, like because no one really was good with it anymore because they didn't really need to be. They had puppets and animatronics. But with it, I enjoy that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it looks so it's so like campy looking and it's funny. Trying to think of a movie, but like an 80s
Terminator.
Yeah, that's
the end of the Terminator
when he's walking.
When he's walking, you
like that looks
stop motion,
but it looks good.
It's so good.
It looks good. We sucked the 80s. Well, we didn't suck it dry.
We didn't suck it dry. There will definitely, you know what?
There'll be more.
There will be times when we just feel like talking about the 80s.
Yeah, or just movies in general or something.
Yeah, just like those days where you just ran about movies.
Yeah, I want to get off topic.
Yeah.
So with closing notes, what's your favorite 80s movie?
Wow.
I know, I hit you with the blind
Way
side
to put me on the spot right there.
Hit you with the blind side.
Wow. Oh, man.
Alright, while he's thinking, sorry, we just waited like 2 hours while he was thinking. Mine's definitely Back to the Future. And it's not just because I couldn't think of one, it's right there, the poster's right there, and I'll show screenshots, or a picture of it. But I just really like it because when I was, not little, I remember it was just like, Back to the Future, that's just one of the movies you have to see. Like, there's these lists of movies that, like, everybody talks about. Like, when your parents recommend movies, that's like, oh, it must be good. But I remember it was like Back to the Future, that's like time travel or something, and I went to Universal and like I went on like saw shows of it and stuff, and then I saw the movie and it was just far better than I imagined. Like I knew what it was about, but I didn't know like the side plots and like it's not the most complicated time travel movie. Like there's movies that are so complicated, but that movie was just perfect, and the time it was made was perfect because like the clothes they wear, it fits perfectly into it. Best 80 movie. It's also probably the best 80s movie not set in the 80s for more than 50% of the film.
And I think I've come to my conclusion.
Oh, well, here we go.
My favorite 80s movie is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, Robert Zemeckis. We're both Robert Zemeckis. That's awesome. That's a great movie
Who
too.
Framed Roger Rabbit?
That's another thing with the effects, like they drew it.
That is insane.
They drew it. They used so much stuff. It's like amazing.
Cartoon and live action, and
and the cartoon looks beautiful.
Oh, absolutely!
That's a beautiful
it is crazy.
Film. And I have it on VHS. It looks.
I have it on VHS too.
Look at that.
See, look at that. This is how you know that we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So.
That's what's up. Back to the Future.
Yeah. Robert Zemeckis, if you're watching this.
Yeah.
Look at that. You got the best 80s movies.
I forgot. And look at that.
Look at that.
Our two favorite 80s movies of all time. Thank you.
Alright, if you guys like this, I don't want to beg you to subscribe, but if you like this, be sure to like this. If you want us to review anything, comment it.
Absolutely.
Anything that you think is bad, really good, or a guilty pleasure or anything, put it in the comment section. I'd love to read it.
We're so down for anything you guys want us to do.
We'll try to get to it. Right now we're busy, but once our schedules are good, we'll definitely get to it.
Absolutely.
So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Trink, he's Joshey, and thank you all for watching.
Yep. See ya.